Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are Derek, Ting, and musician Joaquim Cooder. We're on location at the Duke and Duke Art Gallery in West Hollywood, and the sculpture on the set is by my friend Peter Schlesinger, who lives in New York. Actor, producer, writer Derek Ting always liked acting and took classes at Cornell University. His career blossomed with national commercials and smart parts on TV, but that didn't keep him occupied. He took a job with CNN International as a producer and moved to Hong Kong. It seems that the commercial directors over there didn't leave you alone for very long, did they? They started calling you to work with them.
Yeah, I mean, I actually just bumped into a director and he asked to put me in some commercials. I was like, all right, cool.
Did he know that?
No,
did
he had
know
no
you'd
idea.
Been in
he
it?
said, oh, do you act? And I said, yeah, sure, a little bit.
So did that?
I had given up acting, actually.
Why?
It's hard to be an actor, you know. And when I got the job at CNN, I figured I would focus on sort of the behind-the-scenes stuff, too, to kind of gain some skills.
Like producing? Were you producing? Which is, it seems to me, it's easier than actually being in front of the camera. But you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders as a producer.
Yeah, I mean, they both have their challenges, I would say. You know, being an actor is hard work for sure, and also being a producer. I mean, it's a tough game. I mean, that you have to play, and there's a lot of parts, a lot of moving parts.
Did this director who called you to be in commercials kind of activate your film career, or did it make you think about films in a different way?
Yeah, I mean, it made me feel like, oh, maybe I can do this, you know. I think it's all about achievement for me, like setting a goal and thinking that you can do it. So after I had gotten those parts, I started asking around, you know, Hong Kong and saying, like, what do I got to do? What's the process? Same way as I think if you were in New York or LA. And then I met some casting directors, and I got cast in an international movie called Largo Winch.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so, and I went in for that one, and it was like, they gave me the script, and it was like, you have an hour to prepare. I was like, okay, and then I read for it, and then the casting director called me the next day and said, I don't know what you did, but you got the part.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, all right. So I felt like, you know, I had the chops, and I think they had been looking for somebody to play that part. It was, you know, it's not a really huge role, but they wanted somebody who could deliver the line and stuff.
Where were you born and raised?
I was born in New York, upstate New York. It's like Orange County. It's just really small
nice
town.
Little, yeah.
Yeah, suburbs.
Suburbs. And raised there as well?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you think that had something to do with your casting? The way you delivered the lines, or the way that you had this different aura about you for that role?
I don't know. No, I think just, you know, being, you know, comfortable with, you know, delivering lines and embodying the character. I think that's important. You just have to go in and not be worried about what you look like.
Even though you had given up acting, this you remembered you remembered how to do it.
Yeah.
And you had to remember how to do it because the next project was Super Capitalist.
That's right. Yeah.
And you really must have known how to do it because you're the lead. You're on the screen the whole time.
Yeah. Well, and I trained a lot for it. Even before casting myself, because I'm the producer and the writer, I had worked with a LA acting coach. Her name is Jeannie Hartman. She's fantastic. I had worked with her on a number of, you know.
Here in LA?
In Hong Kong, actually. She goes there every 6 months.
Oh, she
works
does.
with the top actors out there. Yeah. So we studied, and then I had a couple breakthroughs, and then at that point I felt, okay, maybe I can do this. Because, yeah, it's very challenging I realized that, you know, if I couldn't do it or I couldn't achieve that level, then I wouldn't have bothered trying. I would have just gone with a different actor.
You didn't write the part for yourself then?
I wrote several parts. I mean, there's three
there's
leading
three.
males, right? So I was like, oh, you know,
Right.
I'll play a smaller part if necessary. If we get somebody that I think can fill the role, then we'll do that.
Some mean other people, other parts.
Yeah.
Those guys. You want to play those guys?
Yeah. Well, as an actor, you know, I'd like to be able to play all three. You know, which I thought was cool. Like Quentin, he's this, you know, ruthless trader, and then there's also Richard Eng, who's the son of this tycoon, and he's got.
Oh, that role too.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a smaller role.
Yeah. But then they're all strong, leading males. So it was just one of the three. I felt, you know.
Okay, so we have you maybe acting in the movie, but you're the big lead. Tell us the story of Super Capitalist.
I mean, it's about this trader who moves from New York to Hong Kong, and New York reaches to make a deal that gets out of his control. But really, it's about like these two forces of money and power. One is the expatriates, and the other is these big tycoons. And what is it like if these two forces go to war? And with this conflict, I mean, we get to see like the clash of East and West. We also see like also one man's journey of humanity.
And finding himself, really. It's kind of a coming of age, even though you're older. I mean, you have to look at these things and decide what you have to do, who's right, who's honest, who isn't honest. And you have to depend on yourself a lot, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you know, they work in these industries and they feel, you know, they kind of lose themselves. And they don't realize their actions have a lot of consequences.
They must not, or they wouldn't act the way they do, many of them. I mean, they don't know there's this trickle down. How did you research it?
I did a lot of, I definitely read a lot of books, for sure.
Did you?
I went to different offices as well with hedge funds. I met with different people in the industry and also the big tycoons as well, like friends that are in big family places.
Oh, you did. So you had friends that you were able to draw.
Yeah, that I had come to know when I was in Hong Kong. I mean, I didn't know them before. When I went to Hong Kong, I didn't know anybody, actually.
How did you do that? How could you be a producer putting together something and not know anybody? How do you do that?
I don't know. A lot of people ask me that. You know, normally, you'd have. But I think you're just it's getting from point A to point B and really just, you know, exploring all the paths and then choosing the best one. And you have to do that over and over again. I think as a producer, you're making, you know, decisions and bringing people together, all that. So I had to really put myself out there too. You know, you just kind of.
Had you written before?
No, I hadn't.
So you weren't writing while you were like trying to meet all these people and produce?
No, well, so I definitely like just hunkered down and started writing the script, and I did not meet anybody. I think normally the mistake can be, you can network at the same time and then try to write something. But I was like, I need to have a product that I can, you know, put out and tell people about. So I just.
Oh, you did. How long did it take you to write it?
It took me about a year, nights and weekends.
Oh, it was.
I was working a full-time job and everything, so yeah.
You were working at the same time then?
Yeah, I had a full-time job, so just.
And then you had to raise the money. Once you decided, when did you decide you were finished and it was time to make the film?
Yeah, I mean, towards the finish, I went about a year or two, meeting different investors, people that I've met along the way, and then they read the script and really liked it.
And what about raising the money? What kind of budget did you have?
Under $500,000 US.
Was that going to be that is a big film for that amount of money.
Yeah, it's very, I don't know how we did it. I think it was crazy.
But did you get a lot of in-kind help?
Yes, I mean, there was a lot of sponsorships that went on. I myself took $0 for the film as well. So, you know, imagine.
You want to make sure that it gets produced, right?
Exactly, yeah. And investors want to see that you believe that it's going to be successful.
Oh, I see.
So, I mean, Bloomberg, though, sponsored us, which was great. They let us shoot in their offices.
I was going to ask you, what kind of location shots? Where were you on location?
It was there. There's a major casino called Casino Lisboa in Macau. that we shot, and they were really cool. They opened up the VIP room. Not many people can shoot in a casino.
And they let you do that?
They let us do that. We got a private jet. That was one of our producers, Emily Rodella. She had gotten it sponsored somehow. I don't know. She
and
talked to the
you
right
used it in the
people.
film, photographing it and getting on the jet.
Yeah, definitely. We were like, private jet. Okay, let's get it. Yeah, we had a.
What about the yachts, boats?
Yeah, well, the yacht we had rented, but then the cars, like the Bentley, which is like costs like the cost of our budget, right? I was like, do not crash that car. Don't crash it, guys. You know, I didn't even drive it. We had somebody who had the person that donated it, because I was like, I'm not driving that car. We'll pretend. You just
but that's what makes it look so like such an expensively shot film, because you had all this high quality action going on. You know what I thought was fantastic were the opening titles. How did you decide on those? Those were wonderful.
Yeah, we had a really good editor and graphics person, and then credit to the director and the DP. It was their idea to put this kind of sequence in to sort of build the information that I think you needed for the rest of the film.
Yeah,
like
it was great.
And the graphics really carries through. I think I think it's a great way nowadays to convey a lot of information, because that's the challenge.
You mean to open it like that? Yeah.
Yeah, like the finance stuff though is we want to educate the audience very quickly early on. So and there's a lot to know. So
there was, and it came really fast at you. Who was your director? How did you decide on him?
Simon Yin. He's I met him along the way after I'd read the script. I was deciding, and I felt like he's up and coming. He had directed a lot of more like shorts and music videos. But we really need somebody who understood like the East and West. And he had he lived in Hong Kong for a number of years at least, right? So but he lived in the States for a number of years, so he could at least balance the two, understand both worlds, which I think is really important.
How was the working environment? Did you have yoga classes?
Oh, the yoga. That's Linus Roach, who's in the movie. So there's this article actually about hedge fund traders, and Linus had read this article that I gave him that has one of the very famous one. He does yoga every morning, 5 a.m. And he thought it was so ironic that someone would do something very spiritual and also be very materialistic. So he's like, I want my character to do that. So I was like, okay, great, we'll write it in.
So you did. So
yeah, totally.
What about the music?
The music.
Your brother was part of the
My brother, that's right. My brother flew out for a month to work with Ben Robinson. So it was kind of like a tag team to do a lot of the score, which was great. It's original. It's an original score that was put together.
It's great.
Very, very small team. And then we have a lot of individual soundtracks as well. There's a song called My City, which is original by a pretty famous hip-hop artist out there. And also like Hurricane, which was featured on Hulu. That was done by my editor and Ben.
I know, it was very in. Everything was like really part of this small ensemble of people.
Yeah. We had a really small team, and so I mean, if there's a chance to like feature somebody who had worked so hard on our film, that's what I wanted to do too as well.
That was great. So Super Capitalist. Why should we see it?
Because it's fun. It's entertaining. It's relevant. I mean, it's certainly if you're interested in Asia, you're curious about the finance world out there, go out and see it and have fun. I mean, and hopefully maybe you learn something as well.
And one of the things that I thought was great, if you're not gambling, you're not living. I wrote that down when I saw the film.
Oh, wow. That's words I live by. It is true. I just, but yeah, I mean, I love that sometimes. There's always these key lines in movies that we love. That's what I love about movies. It's not necessarily real life, right? That people always talk that way.
No.
But there are rules that even as actors, I think one of my acting coach says that what are the words that does your actor live by? So that was one of them that Connor lives by. Yeah. And how does
that's right. He lived by that.
Yeah. How does he live that way? So
otherwise, he couldn't do what he was doing.
Right, exactly. So that's why I put it in the movie. I was like, oh, that's good. People do live by certain rules, and why do they make decisions? Really the movie's about choices and the risks that they take, that's a key one and it's given to him by his father.
I
you
know.
which
Isn't
is,
that amazing? Yeah.
That's how, I think we're very influenced by our family.
Well, I'm so glad you came. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thanks. Don't go away. We'll be right back with musician Joaquim Cooder. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and we're back. And I'm here with composer, percussionist Joaquim Cooder, who was born and raised in Santa Monica. He graduated from California Institute of the Arts, where he studied world percussion. He's made several albums, participated in live performances, composed film scores, and at Cal Arts he formed Radio Bemba. What kind of music were you playing?
That was a part English, part in Spanish, sort of hybrid, the kind of country music of both Mexico and America. We had this theory that, to bring the two together, accordion.
Oh, really?
Lots of harmony, singing.
But why? What are Bemba? What's Bemba?
Radio Bemba means it's like word of mouth.
Ah.
It's like underground. It's like a slang term.
Oh, that's cool.
We learned in Cuba, so we're like, that's a cool name.
It is a cool name. But how did you get so involved? You were just mentioned Cuba, but with the Latin sensibility. Are you Latin?
No. I think there was
in
just
your mind.
there was just a combination of things that all happened at the same time. I've always loved that music. But then we had just been to Cuba, and then my girlfriend, who's half Mexican, sings in Spanish. Or my girlfriend at the time, we're now married. But
But she did speak. Oh, she did.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And her sister have always sung together, so we sought out to do that.
Oh, was she at Cal Arts too?
No, we had already met in junior high and high school.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So,
Long time romance.
Yeah.
So when did you go to Cuba?
I guess that would have been 1998 or around there. That was the first trip.
Were you just visiting? Was it just a visit trip?
Well, no, that was the first. That was the Buena Vista recording.
It was
Yeah,
that first time?
that first time, yeah.
How did that happen so fast? First of all, let's talk about Buena Vista Social Club,
Right.
which was something that you played the drums on.
Yes.
And it was a group of
It was-
musicians in Cuba.
Yeah, it was a group of more old-time musicians, but it wasn't. When we went down there, the theory was there was going to be these African musicians coming to Cuba, and then they were going to put it together and kind of bring out the similarities of the two music, different cultures, and it would be this kind of thing. But then the Africans didn't get their visas. So when we got there, nobody knew what to do. So really the whole thing was kind of a fluke that my dad said, let's go find some of the old-timey guys.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah.
So you had to make something happen.
Yeah, it was just on the
which was-
spot. That's that cover of the record is Ibrahim, who became, the icon, the guy.
Ibrahim Ferrara,
Yeah,
is he the one?
He's
Yeah.
the one. It's him walking. The cover of that record is him walking up to the studio, and that's really him walking up to the studio from just the streets.
Was there actually a group playing together, or then did you put that group together to call it Buena Vista?
It was put together. It was
It was
people.
put
It was Ibrahim came from his thing. Omara, the woman, they all had their
own little niches?
their own little thing. And
Did they know
everybody-
each other?
It's a good question. I think some people knew each other. Some people knew of each other.
That is fantastic. Well, first of all, who went down? I mean, we're talking like we know what we're talking about. But
Right.
your father is a musician, a very
Yes.
famous singer, guitarist, Ry Cooder.
Right.
And did just the two of you go down?
Us two, my mom,
Susie, my
Susie.
friend.
Yeah. We all made the trip. And then there were some people from England, because it's World Circuit, who was the
I
label
see.
that was running it. So they're an English label. So that guy, Nick Gold,
Oh.
and then the engineer, Jerry Boys, is English.
So you were going down to make this record with the Africans.
Right, who never showed.
Oh boy. How long were you in Cuba?
I think that was just 2 weeks.
And you did everything
Yeah,
there?
yeah. It
And
all
how
happened.
did you know how to play with them?
Well, I mean, what I do should be able to fit into other things, even
I
if I
see.
don't know exactly, like, oh, this is the clave pattern that goes like this, or, I don't really know that stuff, but I think any good player or sensitive player should find a place and not be too, like, I am doing this now.
Do you read music?
A little bit.
You don't have to then. for
Well, I
what-
didn't have to for that.
I see.
There's been things where I've had to read music and I've not done so well.
The thing that I think was like at Cal Arts you took world percussion. How many classes can there be in world percussion?
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of classes.
Are there?
There's-
What
yeah, there's-
instruments are
there's-
they?
There's the tabla, the Indian, which is the most impossible, frustrating instrument. And then there's gamelan, the Balinese.
that's yeah.
I love that. There's African drums and dance.
But those are all different classes?
They're all different classes.
Are they?
Yeah. You can just go from one to the next.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
they have people who are proficient in those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Famous
Famous
teachers,
people.
big time people.
I was thinking like, this is really funny. He's taken this class, this whole course
Right.
in world percussion.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff I actually enjoyed the most or took the most from was the more classic music theory,
Oh,
which was just, I didn't set out to do that, but I think that's what got me thinking more and, I don't know, it led to more things
I see.
than just the world percussion stuff.
when you, we talked about your father, Joaquim Cooder, who is a famous singer and guitarist, but you started at 5 years old on the drums. Why not a guitar?
I don't know. It didn't speak to me. I didn't, to this day, I don't.
You know?
A guitar, it's like absolute, I have no idea. But drums, that's what I gravitated towards. His drummer, Jim Keltner, he's a very famous drummer, and I just remember fixating on him when they would be doing sessions or
Oh, you did?
rehearsals. I mean, because it was such a great big drum set, and there's all this hardware and things, and I would just like crawl in and just stare at them.
And when you were 5, did they get you that little baby drum set to play with?
Well, Jim Keltner gave me a
Oh,
kit because he saw me playing his that he left at the house, and
Oh.
he said, "Oh, he can actually play." So
Really?
Yeah. So he gave me. I think he gave me the kit he gave to his son, who maybe ended up not playing the drums, and so then I got that.
Playing
kit.
the guitar like your father.
Right,
Because
exactly.
you don't want to do the same thing that's going on in your family.
Yeah, luckily it didn't. Even if I wanted to, I just never wanted to. Like I didn't ever think about it.
Was your musical career then set for you at that point? I mean, did you think you were going to be a musician?
I don't think I ever really thought about it. Everything in high school, I did mostly theater, like musicals
Oh,
and
yeah.
plays and
Did you
stuff like
sing
that.
and
Yeah,
dance?
yeah. I was Man of La Mancha,
Yeah,
Don Quixote.
nice and tall, 6'4".
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big thing. But I never really said, I am going to do this.
But you were, when I first met you, you were studying to be a chef.
Recently.
I think.
Yeah.
Weren't you studying? Did you study
Well,
to be?
that just sort of fell in my lap. I've always been interested in cooking, and I cook for my friends and do stuff like that. And then we ran into this chef friend of ours, Fred Eric, who.
Oh, yeah, from,
Yeah.
where's his thing? Eric's?
Fred 62.
Fred 62.
He had
right.
Vita, and then he also has this place called Tiara. And so we ran into him at at LACMA, I think, one day, and then said, Juliet, my wife, said, Fred, give him a job in your kitchen. And then he said, actually, he's like, you probably don't want to do that, which was for the best because it's kind of a big, bustling kitchen.
Yeah.
But he had this chef coming in to do a pop-up restaurant at night.
Oh, cool.
And it was only 12 seats at a time, very like a prefix.
So you could do it?
Yeah, so I started working for him. I think he maybe thought I knew more at the time when I started doing it, because they would say things like, get the mandolin, which is that.
Oh, the mandolin,
Yeah.
for your potatoes?
Yeah, and I was like,
Mandolin
Right.
music.
there'd be a lot of things where I was learning right there on the spot and messing up a lot, but he kept me around.
But you still have your fingers.
Yeah,
that's
I got a
good.
lot
You
of
need your
burns.
fingers, yeah. Well, tell me about this latest project. Is it Love on a Real Train?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, I started, it basically, every day I just make instrumental music, and it's very ambient and sort of just relaxing. That's just what I like to do. And then at a certain point, I looked at everything and thought, I could actually do something with this instead of just doing them and then going on to the next thing.
Right.
And I started sending them to different singer-songwriters who I like. There's something about what they do I like.
They're
And I
friends,
thought,
though, right?
some of them are friends. Some I had never met. Some I'd
Oh,
still
some-
never met.
Oh,
We
is
just
that
emailed
right?
each other.
Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
One
cool.
guy I've still never spoken to. It was all just done.
You collaborated. I thought some of them were like Inara
Inara George, yeah.
and Petra.
Petra Hayden.
Her father taught at CalArts, didn't he?
Yes, that's
he
right.
did, because I interviewed him.
Yeah.
Charlie Hayden.
Right.
Fabulous. So they all worked with you on this?
Yeah, each thing went a little differently because Petra does, it's all just her voice layering. She doesn't sing words. She just does, she'll do 8 or 10 tracks of her voice, just these big walls of sound. So I would send each person like 4 songs and then say, do you like any of these songs? And then they would choose one and then hopefully do something with them.
So they didn't even have to come into the studio with you. I think the great one that I loved was the wedding one. The DJ said he was DJing.
Oh, yeah. That's the guy I still never met.
Is that?
That video. You mean
Yes,
the video?
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's all this, I can hear all this percussion going.
Yeah.
Ting, 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 and lots of like ripples. And
Yeah. That one, I love. That's definitely one of my favorites.
what's it called? Something
It's
blue?
Bright Light Blue.
Love on a Real Train. How many tracks on it before we leave?
9.
Wow, and you wrote them all and collaborated with people?
Yes, all of it starts with my music, and then other people take it and then write on it or do something, and then I take it back. And
And
then,
it's your first producing?
yeah, first thing I sort of did all on my own. Well, with all these people.
Yeah, with all these people. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming,
you.
Joaquim. It was
Thanks for
great
having
to have
me.
you talk. And thank you. Keep writing, JAQUINN, 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor. See you next time.